So welcome everyone to another episode of the things we want to see in FIFA 21. Today we are taking some more of your suggestions and we're going to be talking about some new face updates, gameplay features, career mode stuff, and we've got a lot of good suggestions in today's video. If only someone from EA would listen, and I know it's much more than that, but if only, man, they just took some suggestions, because in this series, there's already enough features suggested here that you could make one of the best football games ever, but Ultimate Team is the focus, and yeah, there's nothing we can do, unfortunately, except hope every year. But regardless, someone has to put a bit of pressure on EA, start suggesting some things, because yeah, if no one does it, then we're just going to get the same old stuff. So this show tries to, just talk about a few things that people want to see. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do, because in a few days' time, I've got some new FIFA 21 news to talk about, so you don't want to miss that. In every episode, I like to start with a new face suggestion, and usually these faces are for important people in a FIFA game, usually career mode prospects or high potential, high overall players or something like that. Today, we're going to be talking about Tonali. Now, in career mode, Tonali is one of the highest rated potential youngsters you can get in the game. 91 potential, 77 overall at just 19 years old. He's a CDM playing for Brescia at the moment. In FIFA, we don't get a new face or a real face for him, and it's something that I'd love to see in FIFA 21, given, he's one of the best career mode players you could potentially sign in the game. Now, I always show Pez because Pez always has the latest faces for these guys, and Pez does a very good job with faces. They always update the players, even the youngsters get faces, and FIFA really lags behind in some player faces that are needed in the game. Now, of course, this is due to different methods that EA uses versus Pez, but still, EA, whether they can scan the players or not, should give at least custom faces to these guys, especially because a lot of career mode players are going to be using them. They have high potentials, they have high overalls. So they've got to do something with these guys. I mean, players like Odegaard, 5-6 years now, been one of those prospect players, still rocking that generic face. I thought he had a real face by now, but he doesn't. I've said it for a while now, the Serie A is a little bit neglected in FIFA. They've got the Serie A license so you can put the patch on the kits and stuff. But in terms of stadiums, in terms of player faces, I don't think there's too much going for it. So they really should work on the Serie A side of things as well in their future games. Next up is an interesting suggestion from Finn, and it's something to do with the crowds. But it's not really the crowds themselves. It's basically maybe a stadium design or something that EA doesn't really do in their games. But he goes, I've got a suggestion for FIFA 21, the things we want show, and I want to see better separation for away and home fans. And he gave me some examples to take a look at, so that's what we're going to do now. So in FIFA, this is Anfield, I believe, and you've got the red side there, and you've got a white side there, which is the opposition fans. Now, there's no real barrier separating the two. They're basically sitting next to each other, sitting together. And we all know in real world football, unless it's an Australian stadium or something, you're not really going to be that close to the opposition fans. There usually is security guards or something, and even little barriers sometimes preventing both fans from interacting or getting too close. And this is one of the examples that he sent me in actual Anfield in real life. So as you can see on the right is the Liverpool side, and you've got that thing in the middle. It's like a strip, covers a few seats, and there's also security people in orange vests, and on the other side of that we've got the opposition crowd there. I think that's Chelsea fans or something, and yeah, they're basically all there still. I think this is after the match, and you can see that there's a lot of stewards, there's a lot of barriers preventing them from interacting with Liverpool fans or getting too close to prevent maybe punch-ups and stuff. So it's an interesting thing because EA doesn't really do it. There's things to improve in terms of the stadiums, in terms of being a little bit more accurate to real life with the crowds and stuff, so hopefully they can work on that. These are some really good suggestions that you guys want to see. So I've been asked by star heads in FIFA to actually talk about improving generic stadiums in FIFA. Now this was his tweet. He goes, you really should be talking about EA creating new generic stadiums in your FIFA 21 videos. The majority of the generic stadiums have been around since FIFA 12 or before. So those generic ones, that they're not licensed to any club, are actually from many, many years ago, and we still got them in the game. And following on with that, he says there's an obvious drop-off in quality when playing in the generic stadiums versus the authentic stadiums. Let's take a look at this article that he linked. It's about FIFA 21 new generic stadiums, and it's in the FIFA forums at the moment. So this was a post by Football22 on the EA FIFA forums, and it's about new generic stadiums. He goes, added newly designed generic stadiums to FIFA 21 is a necessity, as the current generic stadiums are severely outdated when compared with the authentic licensed stadiums. Because the generic stadiums are so outdated and significantly less detailed than the licensed stadiums, there is an obvious drop in visual quality when playing in these stadiums. This drop in visual quality reduces the level of immersion, especially when playing a game mode that has a mixture of authentic licensed stadiums and generic ones. The generic stadiums also do not have the personality that licensed stadiums have, and that is to be expected. However, a lot more can be done to offset that from a design and detail perspective. Adding to the above, high-profile clubs such as Bayern Munich and Barcelona do not have their licensed stadiums in FIFA 20, therefore a generic stadium must be used instead. The problem with using these current generic stadiums for these high-profile clubs is that none of the stadiums are remotely similar to their real-life counterparts, and the level of detail is so generic and sterile that any realism is lost. These issues don't just apply to Bayern Munich and Barcelona, but to all clubs in-game that do not have an authentic licensed stadium. At the very least, clubs like Bayern Munich and Barcelona should have generic stadiums that at least can compare in design and detail to the authentic licensed stadiums currently in the game. So let's take a look at some examples here. We've got Bayern Munich Stadium, and this one was from FIFA 19. Obviously, it's got the lights, got the scoreboard, the nice detail, the graphic there, also the nets, red and white striped on the net. And then we look down towards the FIFA 20 image, and it's a little hard to tell, but I think the icon image is gone. Also the goals, I don't know if they're red and white striped anymore. Also the seating color has changed a little bit from the FIFA 19 variant. Now I don't know, but it looks like some of the seating has been removed in the generic stadium compared to the real life one. And then obviously there's big differences in the roof of the stadium as well. It doesn't really look too similar to the Allianz Arena, I think it's called, in Bayern Munich FIFA 19. So it's still got the club logo, which is not too bad, but I get what he's trying to say. I get that it looks a bit more generic, more blander looking than the presentation in FIFA 19. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of a drop-off in quality and appearance, but it shouldn't really have to be this way. They could do a better job making the stadiums look like real life, even though they are generic. He reckons that the issues highlighted above are going to become increasingly more apparent as various licensed competitions and leagues are added to future FIFAs, an example being the Copa Libertadores. Ultimately, with the next-gen console soon upon us, the current generic stadiums should be removed and replaced with options that are more compatible with the amazing, authentic stadiums that are currently in the game, with the aim of creating smooth transitions between generic and licensed stadiums when playing. Underneath that post, you've got a few people that said I couldn't care less, about these things if the gameplay is good and stuff. Some people say the game is so broken. I can understand your issue, but very foundations of this game need to be overhauled. I get that as well, but we need to still talk about these things. One person said it's definitely time for updates here. The importance of the generics can't be overstated for career mode players. Over 95% of the clubs in FIFA play in generic stadiums, so they should make them look good, and there should be a good variety. So yeah, you can see there's people for and against this, but the majority of people are for this. A lot of people want to see improvements in every area of a FIFA game. We want it to get better each year. So these things are definitely important, considering every game needs to be played in a stadium, and the majority of teams do use those generic stadiums. In an ideal FIFA game, EA would introduce a stadium creator thing, which could let you, in theory, edit the generic stadiums at least, even if you can't touch those licensed stadiums. Allow us to edit the stadiums and, change the seating. That way you can have much more variety in the game, and you can make the stadiums look a bit more realistic to the team you're trying to manage in career mode or something like that. Next up, we have numerous suggestions from Jojo is Legend. I'm going to break up his thing into a couple parts here, so you might see him featured in another episode because he's got some other good suggestions. But the first one today is Better Practice Arena and Practice Arena in career mode. So if you remember, the Better Practice Arena that he is referring to is the one from FIFA 14, where you could do like create a set piece, practice match, practice set pieces and all that kind of stuff. It was much better than what we've got today, and you can actually use some of the creator set pieces in the game. I don't know why they got rid of it. It was one of the best features that I used all the time, and it's definitely something they should return. Now, in terms of practice arena in career mode, I think that would be really nice as well, because with your team, you could do like a practice match where you test out formations, players in certain positions, and you can verse like the reserve team and see how you go. And then you can also create set pieces with your squad as well, and then use those set pieces in the game. Like, it's such a good feature. I don't know why it's gone, man, because you can do so much with it. Now, he also wants a better player career mode, and he goes, you shouldn't be getting downgraded in terms of the rating if you are out of position or keep your shape thing. So I don't really play much of player career mode, but I know that you always got to keep your position, otherwise the number goes down or something, the rating. And that could be annoying for a few people that want to pick up the ball, drop back and pick up the ball, especially if you're playing up front. Or if you're just out of position for like 2-3 seconds, you start to get worried about that rating starting to go down. So yeah, I guess they need to revamp player career mode regardless, because it's very, very stale over the last decade. And then, of course, he requests something that everyone that plays FIFA career mode would love to see, and that is no bugs in manager career. Man, I've made a whole show dedicated to bugs in career mode. All the news tile gets it wrong. What else is there? The trophy glitches, the throwing glitches. I don't even know. So they're gonna need a whole team just to repair career mode before they even think of adding new features in. And if it carries over all the bugs from FIFA 20 into FIFA 21 career mode, we're gonna have all the FIFA 20 mess plus the new stuff that FIFA 21 is gonna have. And it's gonna be one big mess. And they need to just throw out the code, put it in the bin, and just rewrite the code and start again. Because that's what the game needs, man. It's just too outdated now where it's just becoming a mess to actually play. I think the most amount of bugs in a game is WWE 2K20 when it first came out. But FIFA is definitely up there, man. FIFA 20 has so many bugs, it's unbelievable. Next up, we have a suggestion from Ifianyi. Sorry if I said your name wrong, but he would like to see more years in career mode. So this is what he had to say. He goes, "This is for career mode. I play it to the point where it retires me as the manager and the game ends automatically." So basically he's saying that he completes all the 15 seasons, I think it's 15 seasons, of career mode as a manager, and then basically he's forced to retire because the game can't take it anymore and you need to start a new save. So he goes, "I honestly think at that point, instead of retiring and ending the game, it should make provision for buying/signing another coach who will still be controlled by me to carry on the game. I feel bad that the game ends after retirement." So yeah, he's basically saying that even if the game forces you to retire, you should be able to carry on as a new coach or something. I don't know. But he goes, there should be another point of continuity. So he wants basically career mode saves to go longer than 15 seasons. So instead of being forced to retire, you can continue your save for maybe another 20 years, 30 years. A lot of managers do have long careers. But first off, I don't know how you do 15 seasons, my friend. I can't even get past maybe 5 or 6, and I play every game. But so I guess if you simulate a couple games a year, you probably would be able to do 15 seasons. But yeah, I just play every game. So for me, 5 or 6 seasons is enough. And then all the regions and the fake players start coming in through the youth academies and stuff, and all the normal players retire. So I start to get a little bit bored. But I do get that there's a lot of people that actually finish career mode saves after 15 seasons. And I guess it's not really that long anymore. And there should be much more length to a career mode save instead of 15 years. 15 years is not really much in terms of a career. I don't know. Let me know what you think about having more seasons in career mode, or basically another point of continuity after a manager retires. But that is pretty much it for today's episode. Let me know what you thought about any of these ideas down below. And if you need something else to watch, make sure you check out this FIFA 20 video. Hit the card in the middle. It'll take you right there. I'll see you next time.